But today, iconic. In this video, I'm doing another mock draft, and that's because everyone commented on my last draft that it wasn't realistic enough. So I try to make it more realistic, and this is what came out of it. Here's the draft lottery. As you can see, I'm only going to the top 10 picks this time. So the Suns actually have the first pick in this draft lottery. So looking through the team, they've got Devin Booker, they've got Josh Jackson, TJ Warren, Bender, Chris. But I just think that with this pick, they have to go with safe pick. Obviously, I think DeAndre Ayton is the prospect with the highest ceiling, the most safe pick in this draft. So I'd have the Phoenix Suns taking DeAndre Ayton, #1 overall. DeAndre Ayton was a beast for U of A this season, pretty much averaging a double-double. He would get a double-double pretty much every game, and he was averaging close to 20 points a game. So yeah, this would be a big pick for the Suns in their hopes to rebuild and eventually win a championship. So the Magic actually have the second pick, but in my last video, I had them taking Trae Young, #2 overall, but I got a lot of comments saying the Magic would not take Trae Young that high. They would still take Trae Young, but they would like trade down in the draft, kind of like what Boston did. In this trade, the Kings actually trade Buddy Hield and their pick for the second pick, which makes sense for the Kings because Buddy Hield, he's a good prospect, but if they can get like a Marvin Bagley, that would really change their outlook for the future. And I think Buddy Hield is just more of a role player in the league, so it makes sense for both teams, I would think. The Kings with this pick can't really go wrong here because Marvin Bagley's been a beast. And he's one of the younger prospects in the NBA draft, so he has a lot of room to grow, and he's already showing signs of being a potential superstar in the league. So the Hawks have the third pick in the draft, and looking at their team, they've got Dennis Schroeder at point. They got John Collins in the draft last year, so they're looking pretty good. As far as rebuilding goes, I think they go after like a Luka Doncic who can play, make, score, or maybe like a Mo Bamba even. But Luka Doncic is probably their better option here, just because he can do a lot of things. He can play on the wing, he can handle the ball, he can pass, he can shoot. With the fourth pick in the draft, the Memphis Grizzlies are kind of stuck between rebuild and trying to get to the playoffs. But obviously this season, Mike Conley getting injured, that took a huge impact on the team. So they're gonna have a top 5 pick most likely in the draft, and they've got some really bad contracts. Obviously Chandler Parsons' contract, they're paying Marc Gasol and Mike Conley billions pretty much, but I think they go with Michael Porter Jr. here at 4th, because before he got injured he was like a top 3 pick for sure, and now that he got injured he's fallen down, but still very good prospect, I would think. Now the Cavs, whether LeBron stays or not, it's clear what they need. Interior defense. They need big men, because Kevin Love, he's not really known for his defense, and Tristan Thompson, he's just a shell of his former self from the terrific finals he had a couple years ago. And the prospect that really jumps out here is Mohamed Bamba, just because of his wingspan. Like, he has the potential to be such a good defender in the league. So 5th pick, Mohamed Bamba. I think it's not only a safe pick, but a pick that has a lot of upside too as well. So obviously Orlando traded down to the 6th pick with the Kings, and they need a point guard. They traded away their future point guard, I guess you could say, in Elfrid Payton for a 2nd round pick. But yeah, they need a point guard going forward. They've got Jonathan Isaac, they've got Aaron Gordon, they've got Vucevic. Their window's closing, I would think. Before they have to pay max contracts to those guys, they have to go after a young point guard. And Trae Young, obviously, some would say the best player in the nation if it wasn't for Ayton and Bagley, but yeah, he's averaging 30 and 10. How can you not take him 6th overall? Now, the Dallas Mavericks. They're kind of like the Memphis Grizzlies in a way, because they're kind of stuck between rebuild and making the playoffs. Are we going to rebuild or not? They don't really have like a clear direction. But I would think they go after a big man here, because they've got Dennis Smith. They're paying their shooting guards and small forwards a lot of money. They got Harrison Barnes, who's a big piece. And I would think the Mavericks would go after Jaren Jackson Jr. here, just because of his potential. He's not a safe pick at all, but he was averaging 3.3 blocks in less than 30 minutes per game. That's insane. 3.3 blocks in less than 30 minutes a game. Next up, we got the Chicago Bulls, who are in a clear rebuild at this point. They just traded away Jimmy Butler for some young pieces, so they've got actually a nice talented young core with Markkanen, Levine, Chris Dunn. At the start of the year, I did say the Bulls would need a point guard in the draft, but Chris Dunn has shown probably enough to keep his job, so I would go with the most talented, one of the most talented big men left, which is either Robert Williams or obviously Wendell Carter. But I feel like Wendell Carter has more upside than Robert Williams, just because he can shoot it a bit more. Now, the New York Knicks, they need to put pieces around Porzingis before he can have the option of leaving in free agency. And I think the guy they picked last draft, Frank or whatever, he's not going to be like the guy, the point guard for them. So neither is Moutier. They're just like at most role players. I think you go after a future point guard that can be that superstar. Collin Sexton, he's proven it in college. Big shot maker. Collin Sexton to the Knicks, number 9. Now, the Charlotte Hornets. First off, they should have traded Kemba Walker. And they were asking Kawhi Leonard for Kemba Walker. Yeah, no, they're not going to get that. Malik Monk looks like a bust so far this season. He's averaging like 5 points, I think, for a top 10 pick. Yeah. For me, it was either between Miles Bridges or Kevin Knox. 2 very good small forwards. But I just went with Miles Bridges because he has more experience. One year of college more than Kevin Knox. And I think that plays a big role. So just to recap, DeAndre Ayton would go number 1 overall to the Suns. Marvin Bagley, number 2 to the Kings. Obviously, the Magic and Kings trade. Luka Doncic, 3rd. Michael Porter, 4th to the Grizzlies. Mo Bamba, 5th to the Cavs. Trae Young, 6th to the Magic. Jaren Jackson Jr., 7th to the Mavericks. Wendell Carter Jr., 8th to the Bulls. Collin Sexton, 9th to the Knicks. And finally, Miles Bridges, 10th.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 M's in my bank account. Yeah, in my bank account. Yeah, in my bank account. Yeah, in my bank.